I always believed nightmares disappeared the moment you opened your eyes. But tonight, as I ran through the forests of Crescent Ridge, I realized something terrifying. Some nightmares don't wait for you to sleep. They chase you. The fog is so thick I can barely see 3 feet ahead of me. My lungs are burning. Branches whip across my face as I sprint through the woods, but I don't stop. I can't stop, because something is chasing me. I risk a glance over my shoulder, and my blood turns to ice. Through the swirling mist, I see it. A massive wolf, easily the size of a bear, with eyes that glow like dying embers. Red, hungry, fixed on me. My foot catches on a root, and I go down hard. Pain explodes through my palms as they scrape against the forest floor. I flip onto my back, scrambling backward. And the creature is there, right there, teeth bared, saliva dripping from jaws that could snap me in half. This is it. This is how I die. But then, another wolf launches from the darkness, slamming into the monster with the force of a freight train. This one is smaller, leaner, with fur the color of autumn leaves and eyes that burn gold in the lantern light. The two wolves collide in a fury of snarls and snapping teeth. And in that split second, as the golden-eyed wolf turns to look at me, I recognize something in its gaze. Something human. Something familiar. My best friend is my biggest nemesis. And the boy I love, he's the monster saving me or hunting me. Let me back up. My name is Ethan Hale, and before everything went to hell, I was just nobody. The invisible kid at Crescent Ridge High. You know the type, the one teachers forget to call on, the one people brush past in hallways like I'm made of smoke. Crescent Ridge, Oregon, population, barely 3,000. A small town tucked between dense pine forests and abandoned railroad tracks, where fog rolls in every evening like clockwork and everyone knows everyone's business. Or at least they think they do. The town has history, dark history, disappearances dating back to the 1800s, settlers who vanished into the woods and were never found. The kind of folklore that tourists eat up during our famous Lantern Walk Festival, but that locals whisper about in hushed tones when they think no one's listening. I used to think it was all just stories. I was wrong. But before I knew any of that, before my world split open and revealed the nightmare underneath, there was just him. Liam Carter, captain of the football team, straight A student. The kind of guy who lights up every room he walks into with that easy, confident smile. Dark hair that's always perfectly messy, hazel eyes that make you feel like you're the only person in the world when he looks at you, and a laugh that, God, I'm pathetic. Because here's the thing nobody knows. I've been in love with my best friend for 3 years. 3 years of hiding it. 3 years of pretending that the way my heart races when he throws his arm around my shoulders is just normal friendship. 3 years of watching him date girls who are everything I'm not. Confident, outgoing, visible. I remember the day we became friends. Freshman year. I was eating lunch alone in the corner of the cafeteria, my usual spot, when Liam just sat down across from me. No invitation, no explanation. He slid a chocolate chip cookie across the table and said, "You look like you could use something sweet." I thought it was a joke, some prank the popular kids were playing on the weird art kid. But he came back the next day, and the next. And eventually, somehow, Liam Carter decided that I was worth keeping around. I never understood why. But lately, the last few weeks, something's been different. Off. Liam flinches at sounds no one else can hear. I've caught him sniffing the air like he's tracking something. He avoids bright sunlight, always choosing shaded spots when we hang out. And sometimes when he thinks I'm not looking, I see this tension in him, like he's holding something back. Something dangerous. And his father, Sheriff Carter, has started watching me. I'll catch him driving past my house at odd hours, his eyes following me with this unsettling intensity that makes my skin crawl. But I push those thoughts aside, because last week, during fifth period English, Liam leaned over and whispered something that made my entire world tilt on its axis. "Hey, the Lantern Walk Festival is Friday night. Want to skip the crowd and take some pictures for that social media project? Just you and me? Just you and me." I tried to play it cool, tried to ignore the way my hands trembled as I nodded, tried not to read into the way his knee pressed against mine under the desk or the soft smile that played at the corners of his mouth. "It's a date," he said. And even though I knew he didn't mean it like that, even though I knew I was setting myself up for heartbreak, I let myself hope. Just for a moment. I let myself hope. The Lantern Walk Festival is the biggest event in Crescent Ridge. Every October, families hike into the Whispering Pines forest with lit lanterns to honor the spirits of the lost settlers, or so the tradition goes. There's hot cider, roasted chestnuts, a bonfire that reaches toward the stars, and a parade of lights that winds through the trees like a river of fireflies. It should have been magical. Liam and I broke away from the main group around 8:30, following one of the smaller trails deeper into the woods. He carried the lantern, and I had my camera trying to capture the way the warm light played across his features. "You're staring," he said without looking at me, but there was something playful in his voice. "I'm composing the shot," I lied. He glanced over then, and the expression on his face made my breath catch. Soft, almost tender. Like maybe we both froze. The forest went silent. No crickets, no rustling leaves. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. "That was probably just a dog," I said, but my voice came out too high, too uncertain. Liam's entire body had gone rigid. In the lantern light, I could see his jaw clenched tight, the tendons in his neck standing out like steel cables. And his eyes flashed gold, just for a second, like a trick of the light, but I saw it. "Ethan," he said quietly, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before. Fear, raw, primal fear. "Ethan, I need you to run, right now." "What?" "Liam, run!" He shoved me, hard, impossibly hard, and I went flying backward, crashing into a fallen log that knocked the wind from my lungs. The lantern fell, rolling across the ground, its light spinning wildly. And in that spinning light, I saw it. A wolf, but not like any wolf I'd ever seen in nature documentaries. This thing was enormous, easily 6 feet tall at the shoulder, with matted black fur and eyes that glowed like hot coals. Its lips peeled back to reveal teeth the size of kitchen knives, and the smell that rolled off it was rank and wrong, like rotting meat and sulfur. My body forgot how to move, forgot how to breathe. All I could do was stare as the creature took one slow, deliberate step toward, and then Liam was there, except he wasn't Liam anymore. His body contorted, bones cracking and reshaping with sounds that would haunt my nightmares. His clothes tore as his frame expanded, fur erupting across his skin in waves of amber and gold. His face elongated into a muzzle, and when he opened his mouth, the sound that came out was pure animal fury. A werewolf. Liam was a werewolf. The two creatures collided in an explosion of violence. Trees shook. The ground trembled. I pressed myself flat against the log, covering my head as chunks of bark and dirt rained down around. When I finally looked up, I was alone. Both wolves were gone. All that remained were deep claw marks carved into the surrounding trees and the overturned lantern, its flames sputtering in the dirt. I searched for almost an hour, calling Liam's name until my voice went hoarse. When he finally stumbled back onto the trail, he looked pale and shaken, his clothes torn and muddy. "Got lost," he mumbled, refusing to meet my eyes. "Sorry, we should head back." But I had seen his eyes glow gold. I had seen him transform, and I knew with sickening certainty that nothing would ever be the same again. For 3 days, Liam ghosted me. No texts, no calls. He avoided me in the hallways at school, taking different routes between classes even though it meant being late. In the cafeteria, he sat with the football team instead of our usual spot by the windows. It was like I'd become invisible to the one person who'd always seen me. I told myself I was being paranoid, that what I'd seen in the woods was just trauma, my mind playing tricks, the shadows and lantern light creating illusions. But I couldn't convince myself, because the nightmares started that same night. Every time I closed my eyes, I was back in those woods, but this time, I was alone, running from something I couldn't see. I could hear it behind me, breathing, growling, getting closer. And just when it was about to catch me, Just when I could feel its hot breath on the back of my neck, I would wake up screaming. My foster parents thought I was sick. They talked about therapy in hushed voices outside my bedroom door. But it wasn't sickness. It was awareness. Because I'd started seeing things. Shadows that moved wrong. Shapes in my peripheral vision that vanished when I turned my head. And at night, when I lay awake listening to the house settle, I swear I could hear something outside my window. Scratching, sniffing, waiting. On the fourth day, I'd had enough. That Friday afternoon, while dark clouds rolled in and the first drops of rain began to fall, I walked to Liam's house. Sheriff Carter's truck wasn't in the driveway, a small mercy, considering the man terrified me even before I knew what lurked beneath Crescent Ridge's surface. I found Liam behind his house, sitting on the old wooden fence that separated his property from the forest. He was staring into the trees like they were speaking to him in a language only he could understand. When he heard my footsteps, he flinched. Actually flinched, like he expected me to be something else. Something dangerous. "Ethan," his voice was rough, worn down. "You shouldn't be here." "Then tell me what's going on." The rain was soaking through my hoodie, plastering my hair to my forehead, but I didn't care. I was done pretending, done hiding from the truth. "You've been avoiding me for days, and I know what I saw in those woods, Liam. I know it sounds insane, but I saw. I know what you saw." The words hung in the air between us, heavy as stones. He turned to face me fully, and in the gray light of the storm, he looked haunted, exhausted, like he'd been fighting a war inside himself and losing. "I wanted to tell you," he whispered. "So many times I almost told you, but I hoped, maybe you'd never have to know. Maybe I could keep you separate from this, safe from this." "Safe from what?" His hands were shaking. I'd never seen Liam Carter shake before. "From me," he said. "From what I am." "I'm not human, Ethan." The words came out barely above a whisper, like saying them too loud might make them more real. "I'm a werewolf. I've been one since I was 13. It runs in my family. My father, his father, going back generations. We're not like the stories, not completely. We can control it most of the time, keep ourselves human. But when the moon is full, or when we're threatened, or when we're around—" He stopped, closing his eyes. "Around what?" "Around danger, around other supernatural things. The control gets harder." My mind was reeling, trying to process what he was telling me. Werewolves. Real werewolves. In Crescent Ridge. And Liam, sweet, kind, perfect Liam, was one of them. "The thing that attacked us in the woods," I said slowly. "That wasn't you." "No." His eyes snapped open, fierce and urgent. "That was from the Ashwood pack. They're dangerous, Ethan. Violent. They don't follow the same rules we do. They see humans as prey, as lesser. And they've been testing our borders for months now, getting bolder. But why attack me? I'm nobody. I'm just—" "You're not nobody." He said it with such intensity that I took a step back. "That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I've been staying away. Because you're not just some random target, Ethan. They're specifically hunting you." The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. "Why?" Liam looked away, his jaw working like he was chewing on words he didn't want to say. "My father, Sheriff Carter, he's not just a sheriff. He's the alpha of Crescent Ridge, the leader of our pack. And he thinks—" Liam's voice cracked. "He thinks you're a threat to the balance, to our secret, to everything we've built here." "How? How could I possibly be a threat? I didn't even know werewolves existed until 4 days ago." "Because you're different, Ethan. Even if you don't know it yet, there's something about you, something supernatural. We can smell it on you, sense it, and whatever you are, it scares the shit out of both the Ashwood pack and my father." My knees felt weak. I sat down hard on the wet grass, rain running down my face, mixing with tears I didn't remember starting to cry. "I don't understand any of this." Liam slid down from the fence and knelt in front of me. This close, I could see the gold flecks in his hazel eyes, could smell pine and rain, and something wild on his skin. "I know," he said softly, "and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you got dragged into this. That's why I was staying away. I thought if I kept my distance, maybe they'd lose interest. Maybe you'd be safe." Were you ever going to tell me? He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushed wet hair back from my forehead. His fingers were warm despite the cold rain, and the gesture was so gentle, so tender, that my heart cracked open. Eventually, he whispered, when I figured out how to keep you safe, when I was sure I could protect you from them, from my father, from, he swallowed hard, from myself. You wouldn't hurt me. You don't know that. His hand dropped away. When I transform, when the wolf takes over, I'm not always in control. And if I ever lost it around you, if I ever... Liam, stop. I reached out and grabbed his hand, lacing our fingers together. His eyes widened, and for a moment I saw something there that made my breath catch. Something that looked like hope. I trust you, I said. I don't understand what's happening and I'm terrified, but I trust you. You've never let me down before. You're not going to start now. He looked at our joined hands like they were the most precious thing in the world. Ethan, he trailed off, seeming to wrestle with something. There's more you need to know about why they're really after you, but I can't be the one to tell you. It's not my secret to share. Then whose secret is it? Before he could answer, a howl split the air, distant but clear, echoing across the rain-soaked town. Liam's entire body went rigid. His eyes flashed gold. You need to go. Now. They're close. But, please, Ethan, trust me on this. Go home, lock your doors, and stay inside until morning. I'll explain everything tomorrow. I promise. I ran, and as I disappeared into the storm, I heard another sound behind me, the sharp crack of bones breaking and reforming, and then a howl that I recognized. Liam's howl. Monday morning, Mr. Grayson asked me to stay after history class. He was the kind of teacher everyone found slightly odd, too interested in local folklore, too intense when discussing the town's dark past, always watching students with eyes that seemed to see more than they should. When the last student filed out, he locked the door, drew the blinds, turned to face me with an expression I couldn't read. Ethan Hale, he said quietly, do you know who your parents really were? My mouth went dry. What? Your parents, the ones who died when you were 6. Do you know how they died? I'd been told it was a car accident, that I'd been found wandering along Highway 101 in shock, unable to remember anything from before. The state had put me in foster care, and eventually I'd ended up in Crescent Ridge. Why are you asking me this? Mr. Grayson pulled a chair close and sat down, his movements deliberate and slow. Because the wolves are circling you, Ethan, and you deserve to know why. You deserve to know what you are. What I am, you're not human. Sound, silence, thick and heavy. The words landed like a physical blow. Your parents weren't from Crescent Ridge, he continued, his voice low and urgent. They fled here from Ashwood Territory 15 years ago, carrying you. They were running from something, hiding you from something, and they almost made it. Almost. They died on the border between territories, an attack that was meant to look like an accident but wasn't. You were the only survivor, a 6-year-old child who should have died but didn't, who wandered for 12 hours through wilderness that would have killed any normal human and emerged without a scratch. He pulled out a folder, old, worn, filled with newspaper clippings and handwritten notes. Sheriff Carter found you, and instead of sending you away, instead of eliminating the threat like protocol demanded, he placed you with a local family, kept you here, watched you, waited. Waited for what? Mr. Grayson's eyes met mine, and in them I saw something like awe, or fear, or both. For you to awaken. Ethan, your parents were part of an ancient bloodline, one that hasn't been seen in over a century, one that was supposed to be extinct. He leaned forward. You're a moonseer. The word meant nothing to me, everything to me. It felt like a key turning in a lock I didn't know existed. Moonseers are rare, impossibly rare. They're born at the intersection of human and spirit, touched by the moon itself. They can sense supernatural creatures, track them, and under the full moon. He paused. They can control them. My hand started shaking. That's impossible. Is it? Think about it, Ethan. Haven't you always felt different? Like you could sense things others couldn't? Haven't you noticed how animals react to you? How dogs either love you immediately or won't come near you? How you can always tell when a storm is coming, when danger is close. I thought about the nightmares, the shadows, the feeling of being watched. The way Liam's father had looked at me since I was a kid, not with kindness, but with calculation. The Ashwood Pack knows what you are, Mr. Grayson said. They've known since you arrived. And they've been waiting for your powers to manifest. Because a moonseer is valuable, Ethan. Whoever controls a moonseer controls the supernatural world. And the attacks aren't meant to kill you. His expression darkened. They're meant to trigger your awakening. Fear, trauma, life or death situations, these are what cause dormant moonseer abilities to surface. The Ashwood Pack has been pushing you, testing you, trying to force your powers to emerge. I stood up so fast the desk rattled. Does Liam know? Liam knows something is different about you, but he doesn't know what. His father does, though. Carter has known from the beginning. That's why he kept you close. Why he let his son befriend you. Mr. Grayson's voice softened. Liam's feelings for you are genuine, I believe that. But his father has been using that bond, counting on it to keep you tied to Crescent Ridge when your powers emerge. Everything I thought I knew was crumbling. My parents, my past, my identity, even my friendship with Liam. Was any of it real? Or was I just a pawn in some supernatural game I didn't understand? What happens when I awaken? I whispered. Mr. Grayson stood, placing a hand on my shoulder. That depends on who reaches you first. The autumn midnight maze was supposed to be fun. It was Crescent Ridge High's biggest event of the fall, a massive corn maze set up on the Hendersons' farm, complete with food stalls, a live band, hay rides, and fireworks scheduled for midnight. Half the town turned out for it, bundled in flannel and drinking hot cider while navigating the twisting paths between stalks that towered 12 feet high. I almost didn't go. After Mr. Grayson's revelations, I wanted to hide, to run, to pretend none of this was happening. But Liam had texted me that morning. Please come tonight. I need to talk to you. I need to explain everything. So I went. The maze was packed with students. I could see Liam across the field with his football team, but he wasn't smiling. He kept scanning the crowd, his body tense, alert. When our eyes met, the look on his face made my stomach drop. Fear. At 11:47, the lights went out. All of them. The string lights, the food stall lamps, even the stage lights for the band. One moment, the field was bright and alive. The next, we were plunged into darkness so complete it felt solid. Someone screamed. Then everyone started screaming. I was swept up in the panic, pushed and jostled by bodies trying to find the exit. But the maze made it impossible. People kept hitting dead ends, turning back into each other, creating bottlenecks of terrified teenagers. And then the fog came. It rolled across the field like something alive, thick and gray and moving against the wind. It poured into the maze, filling the passages, swallowing the moonlight. Ethan! Liam's voice, desperate and close. I turned and saw him pushing through the crowd toward me. But even in the chaos, I could see what was happening to him. His eyes were glowing gold. His hands were shifting, fingers elongating into claws. He was losing control. Ethan, you have to get away from me. His voice was strained, barely human. I can't. I'm trying to hold it back, but I can't. Liam! But I couldn't run, because stepping out of the fog behind him was the creature from my nightmares. The massive black wolf with red-tinted eyes. It moved with deliberate slowness, each step measured and purposeful. Students fled from it, screaming, but it ignored them all. Its gaze was fixed on me, only me. Moonseer! The word echoed inside my skull, not spoken aloud but projected directly into my mind. The time has come. No more hiding, no more pretending. Awaken. Liam, fully transformed now into his wolf form, positioned himself between me and the creature. He was smaller, leaner, but his stance was protective, defiant. The red-eyed wolf tilted its head, almost amused. Step aside, pup. This does not concern you. Liam's response was to lower his head and bare his teeth, and then they collided. The maze erupted into chaos. The two wolves tore into each other with savage fury. their bodies crashing through corn stalks like they were paper. Students scattered in every direction, some trampled, others frozen in shock. Someone's dropped lantern caught on the dry corn. Within seconds, flames were spreading, adding orange light to the fog and smoke. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to get away, but I couldn't, because Liam was losing. The red-eyed wolf was too strong, too experienced. It caught Liam by the throat and slammed him into the ground hard enough to crater the earth. Liam yelped, a sound of pure pain that cut through me like a knife. No! The word tore from my throat, and something inside me tore with it. Sound, heartbeat accelerating, energy building. My chest felt like it was splitting open. Heat flooded my veins, burning hotter than the flames consuming the maze around us. My vision went white, then cleared with a clarity I'd never experienced before. I could see everything. Every wolf within a mile radius, glowing like beacons in my mind. The Ashwood pack surrounding the farm, at least a dozen of them waiting. Sheriff Carter and his pack on the other side, holding position. And in the center of it all, me. My eyes. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them changing. Silver light spilled from them, bright enough to cut through the fog and smoke. The ground beneath my feet trembled. The air itself seemed to vibrate at a frequency that made my bones hum. Both wolves stopped fighting and turned to look at me. "Liam," I whispered, but my voice came out wrong. Layered, echoing with something ancient and powerful. "Get back!" He obeyed immediately, scrambling away from the red-eyed wolf and retreating to a safe distance. I walked toward the creature that had been hunting me. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt calm, certain, like I was finally stepping into a role I'd been rehearsing for my entire life without knowing it. The red-eyed wolf lowered its massive head, not in submission, not quite, but in acknowledgement. Finally, it rumbled, and this time I could hear satisfaction in its voice. "The Moonseer awakens." "Why?" The word came out as a command, not a question. "Why have you been hunting me?" "Not hunting, young one. Calling. Your power was dormant, sleeping. It needed fear to wake, pain to sharpen, blood to bloom." The creature's eyes glowed brighter. "And now that you have awakened, now that your true nature has emerged, you must choose." "Choose what?" "Which pack to serve, which alpha to follow. Your power makes you valuable beyond measure. With you, the Ashwood pack could rule all territories." Or, its gaze slid toward where Sheriff Carter had emerged from the fog in his wolf form, flanked by his pack. "You could remain here, under Carter's control, his weapon against all who oppose him." The two packs faced each other across the burning maze, with me in the center. "I don't want to be anyone's weapon," I said, and my voice rang with power that made the wolves flinch. "I don't want to serve any pack." "Then you will die," the red-eyed wolf said simply, "because a Moonseer cannot exist without protection, without purpose, without enough." The word hit like a physical force. Every wolf in the field, Ashwood, Crescent Ridge, all of them, froze mid-movement. Their eyes went wide, bodies going rigid like puppets whose strings had just been pulled taut. I could feel them, feel their hearts beating, their blood pumping, their wills bending toward mine like flowers toward the sun. The power was intoxicating, terrifying. I could control them, all of them. "You will not fight tonight," I said, and my voice carried across the field with supernatural clarity. "You will not harm anyone here, and you will leave, now." The Ashwood pack began to retreat, moving backward into the forest like they were being pulled by invisible ropes. Sheriff Carter's pack did the same, despite the clear rage in the alpha's eyes. Only the red-eyed wolf remained, studying me with something like approval. "Impressive," it said. "You learn quickly, but this is not over, young Moonseer. When the next full moon rises, you will have to make your choice, serve or stand alone. There is no third option." It turned and vanished into the fog, leaving me alone in the burning maze with dozens of confused, terrified students and one golden-eyed wolf who I knew was Liam. The power drained from me all at once, and I collapsed to my knees. The silver light faded from my eyes. The connection to the wolves snapped. I was just Ethan again. Just a scared 17-year-old who had no idea what he'd become. Liam shifted back to human form and ran to me, dropping to his knees and catching me before I could fall completely. Ethan? Ethan, can you hear me? I nodded weakly, my head spinning, my body feeling like it had been wrung out and left to dry. What? I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. What just happened? Liam's eyes, back to their normal hazel, but still wide with shock, searched my face. You stopped them. You stopped both packs. I've never seen anything like that. Not even from the oldest alphas. His hands were shaking as they cut my face. Ethan, what are you? The authorities were arriving. Fire trucks, ambulances, police cars. In minutes, this field would be swarming with people asking questions I couldn't begin to answer. We need to go, Liam said urgently, trying to help me stand. But I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't work. And more than that, I wasn't sure I wanted to run anymore. I'm a moonseer, I whispered. Liam went still. A what? That's what Mr. Grayson told me. What the Ashwood Wolf confirmed. I'm a moonseer, some kind of supernatural being that can sense and control creatures like you under the moon. My parents were running from something when they died. And your father? I looked up at him, and the hurt must have shown on my face. Your father has known what I am this whole time. That's why he kept me here. That's why he let you... No! Liam's voice was fierce. Whatever my father's reasons were, whatever he knew or didn't tell me, my friendship with you was real. Is real. You have to believe that. Do I? The words came out bitter. How do I know what's real anymore? Maybe you were just following orders. Maybe all of this. Our friendship, the way you looked at me, the way you made me feel like I mattered. Maybe it was all just part of keeping the valuable moonseer under control. Ethan, tell me the truth. Liam, my voice broke. Did you know? Did you know what I was? Sound silence, heavy and painful. He looked away, and that was answer enough. I suspected, he admitted quietly. Not at first, but over the years I started to notice things. The way animals reacted to you, the way I could never quite read your scent like I could with other humans. How you always seemed to know when I was close, even before you saw me. He took a shaky breath. My father warned me to keep my distance, to watch you but not get attached. But I couldn't help it. I tried, Ethan. I really tried. But you were just you. And somewhere along the way, watching you turned into caring about you, and caring turned into... He stopped abruptly, his jaw clenching. Turned into what? I pressed. Liam met my eyes. And the raw emotion in his gaze made my breath catch. Into something I was never supposed to feel. Something that made me choose you over my pack, over my father, over everything I was raised to be. The air between us felt electric, charged with all the things we'd never said, all the feelings we'd buried. Liam, resound, low growl close. We both turned to see a figure emerging from the fog. Not a wolf this time, human, but somehow more terrifying. The red-eyed wolf in human form was tall, easily 6.5 feet, with long dark hair and eyes that still glowed with that unsettling red tint. Tribal tattoos covered his arms and neck, marks I somehow knew were more than decorative. They were binding symbols, pack marks. Touching, he said, his voice a deep rumble, but your time for romance will have to wait. Moonseer. More figures emerged from the fog. The Ashwood pack, all in human form now, forming a circle around us. At least 10 of them, each radiating predatory intent. Liam moved instantly, positioning himself between me and them, a growl building in his throat. He made his choice, Liam snarled. He told you to leave. The red-eyed wolf, clearly the Ashwood Alpha, smiled, and it was not a kind expression. He commanded us in the moment of his awakening, when his power was at its peak. But look at him now. His gaze slid to me, assessing. Drained, weak, barely able to stand. The Moonseer gift is powerful, yes, but it takes practice to wield. Control to maintain. He has neither. He took a step forward, and despite Liam's warning growl, continued approaching. You displayed remarkable strength tonight, young one. You stopped 2 packs from warring, no small feat, but you used too much power too quickly. It will be hours before you recover, perhaps days. Another step. And in that time, you are vulnerable. Liam's body began to shake, the transformation starting. Don't, the alpha commanded, and his voice carried a weight that made Liam freeze mid-shift. You cannot beat all of us, pup, and your father's pack has already retreated. You stand alone. Then I'll die alone, Liam said, and his loyalty, his willingness to sacrifice himself for me, made my heart ache. No one needs to die tonight. The alpha's expression shifted to something almost gentle. Ethan, you asked why we hunted you, why we've been pushing you toward awakening. The truth is simple. We need you. Need me for what? Balance. He gestured to the forest beyond. The territories are breaking down. Ashwood, Crescent Ridge, the northern packs. We've been on the brink of war for years. Your father understood this. That's why he was trying to reach Crescent Ridge. He wanted to offer you as a mediator, a moonseer sworn to no single pack, serving the greater good. But he died before he could complete the journey. And Sheriff Carter, rather than honoring your father's wish, decided to keep you for himself, to raise you as a weapon for Crescent Ridge alone. I looked at Liam, saw the truth of it in his eyes. My father has been preparing you, Liam admitted quietly, training you without you knowing it. All those camping trips, the survival skills he insisted on teaching you, the way he made you memorize the territorial boundaries. It wasn't kindness. It was preparation. The full moon rises in 3 nights, the alpha said. By then, you will have recovered your strength, and you will make your choice. He met my eyes with an intensity that made me shiver. Serve Crescent Ridge as their weapon. Join Ashwood as our mediator. Or, he paused, try to stand alone and watch this territory tear itself apart in war. That's not a choice, I said. That's an ultimatum. That's reality. His expression hardened. There is no neutrality in our world, Moonseer. Not anymore. Not with what's coming. What's coming? But he was already backing away, his pack dissolving into the fog like they'd never been there at all. 3 nights, his voice echoed. Choose wisely. When they were gone, Liam finally let himself collapse, sitting hard on the ground beside me. We were both shaking, both covered in soot and dirt, and the weight of too many revelations. I'm sorry, he said after a long moment, for not telling you everything, for letting my father manipulate the situation, for... Stop. I reached over and took his hand, lacing our fingers together like I had in the rain. We'll figure this out. Together. He looked at our joined hands, then up at me, and the hope in his eyes was almost painful to see. Together. You said you chose me over your pack, over your father. I squeezed his hand. I'm choosing you too. Whatever comes next, whatever I decide about the packs and my powers and all of this, I gestured at the chaos around us. We face it together. Liam's breath hitched. He lifted our joined hands to his lips and pressed a kiss to my knuckles. Gentle, reverent, full of everything we'd never said. Ethan, sound, footsteps approaching, authoritative. Liam! Ethan! Sheriff Carter's voice cut through the moment like a blade. We pulled apart just as he emerged from the smoke. Fully human now, but radiating alpha authority. His eyes swept over the scene, taking in the destruction, the fleeing students, the dying fires. And then his gaze landed on me. For a long moment, he just stared. And in his eyes, I saw calculation, recognition, and something that looked almost like fear. You awakened, he said flatly. I lifted my chin, meeting his gaze directly for the first time in my life. I did. Then you know what you are, what you're capable of. I'm starting to. Sheriff Carter's jaw clenched. And the Ashwood pack? Gave me 3 days to make a choice. There is no choice to make, he said, and his voice carried the weight of alpha command. You belong to Crescent Ridge. You always have. Your parents may have wanted something different, but they're dead. I'm the one who kept you safe all these years. I'm the one who deserves your loyalty. Liam stood, positioning himself subtly between us. Dad, this doesn't concern you, Liam. It does when you're threatening him. The tension between father and son was palpable, dangerous. I could feel it crackling in the air like lightning waiting to strike. Another howl split the night, then another, and another. Not from Ashwood territory, from somewhere new. Sheriff Carter's expression went dark. They're coming earlier than expected. Who? I asked. He looked at me, and for the first time I saw genuine fear in the Alpha's eyes. The ones your parents were really running from. The ones who want moon seers not as mediators or weapons. He paused. But as sacrifices. Liam grabbed my arm. We need to go, now. But I stood frozen, staring into the fog where dozens of eyes had begun to glow. Not gold, not red, silver, just like mine. A voice drifted through the fog, speaking words in a language I shouldn't understand but somehow did. Moon seer, awakened at last. Come home to us. Your destiny begins tonight. I turned to Liam, my hand still gripping his. What are they? I whispered. His answer made my blood run cold. I don't know, but whatever they are, they know you. The fog thickened. The howls grew louder. And in that moment, surrounded by wolves and secrets and a destiny I never asked for, I realized the truth. My awakening wasn't the end of anything. It was just the beginning. My name is Ethan Hale. I used to think the worst thing about being alive was being invisible. Now I know better. The worst thing about being alive is being seen by things you can't escape. My best friend is my biggest nemesis. The boy I love is the monster who saved me. And the destiny waiting in the fog, that's the monster I'm going to become. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for part 2.